My name is Katrina Jefferson, and I'm the New York City liaison to the President and coordinator for National Action Network and your host for this morning's broadcast. Filling in for our Executive Vice President and General Counsel, Michael Hardy, who is traveling this week. Today you will hear reports on what NAN is doing across the country, as we are joined by various leaders of our community and in the nation, bringing to you how you can get involved and get into the action with NAN now. Reverend Sharpton is in the house and coming to us live. You don't want to miss it. We thank you all for listening and tuning into the action in your cars, in your homes, in your place of business, as we've been organizing and working together to make a difference in our community and be agents for change in our nation. We welcome all of you who have joined us today live at National Action Network's House of Justice Auditorium, located at 106 West 145th Street and the corner of Lenox Avenue in the Great Village of Harlem. Welcome to those also watching us via live stream on our website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. So call somebody and tell them the action is on the air. National Action Network was founded in 1991 in New York City by the Reverend Sharpton and a group of activists who were committed to the principles of nonviolent direct action and civil disobedience that was a direct outgrowth of the movement that was built and led by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Reverend Sharpton has served as the organization president since its founding, now in its 30th year. We thank all of you who support National Action Network and who came out to join us and the organization throughout the year. Please welcome, to bring some important announcements, the Vice President for the New York City chapter of National Action Network, Dr. Alvin Ponder.
Thank you, Sister Jefferson. Good morning, listeners and viewers, NAN members across the nation. And thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Action Rally with the National Action Network. Here's some information to keep you in the know. On the anniversary of the killing of George Floyd, all 8 New York City Democratic candidates for mayor to participate in Reverend Al Sharpton and National Action Network's mayoral forum. On Tuesday, May 25th, 2021, the one-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd, the New York City mayoral candidates will be questioned on how to move New York City forward on issues concerning civil rights, social justice, and closing the racial gap that has left many New Yorkers in poverty in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. The event will take place here at the National Action Network's House of Justice in Harlem at 6 p.m., 106 West 145th Street on Malcolm X Boulevard, and will be live streamed at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Reverend Al Sharpton will be present, along with the mayoral candidates Eric Adams, Sean Donovan, Catherine Garcia, Raymond J. McGuire, Diane Morales, Scott M. Stringer, Maya Wally, and Andrew Yang. On the one-year anniversary of George Floyd's death, commemorations planned in Minneapolis. Join Reverend Al Sharpton, the National Action Network, and Bridget Floyd, founder of the George Floyd Memorial Foundation, for a peaceful rally and march in downtown Minneapolis on May 23rd, 2021, for the inaugural remembrance of George Floyd. We will take stock of what has changed since the tragic death of George Floyd. The event is slated to begin at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. The May 22nd, 2021 event that was scheduled in Houston has been postponed due to severe weather and the possibility of flooding. Visit www.nationalactionnetwork.net for all the latest details on when that event will be rescheduled. NAN calls for Attorney General intervention in the case of Andrew Brown. Reverend Al Sharpton expressed dismay over the decision by North Carolina District Attorney Andrew Womble not to charge the sergeant and deputies for shooting Andrew Brown Jr. in the back of his head. Reverend Sharpton, D.A. Womble is claiming that Andrew Brown's death was a justified measure of public safety. How can the loss of a life in a manner such as shooting a man in the back of the head be justified. That is why we're calling on Attorney General Merrick Garland to intervene with the resources and authority of the federal government and or a special prosecutor. It is obvious that there are political motivations behind the DA's nonsensical and unjustifiable decision, and we intend to continue fighting for justice in this case, said Reverend Sharpton. Call your elected officials. National Action Networks continues to urge individuals to reach out to their elected officials to support the George Floyd Policing Act. This bill addresses a wide range of policies and issues regarding policing practices and law enforcement accountability. It increases accountability for law enforcement misconduct. It restricts the use of certain policing practices. It enhances transparency and data collection and establishes best practices and training requirements. National Action Network supports the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which responds to current conditions in voting today by restoring the full protections of the original bipartisan Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was last reauthorized by Congress in 2006, but gutted by the Supreme Court in 2013. Following the Shelby County decision 7 years ago, several states passed sweeping voter suppression laws that disproportionately prevent minorities, prevents the elderly and the youth from voting. The bill provides the tools to address these discriminatory practices and seeks to protect all Americans' right to vote. You can reach your elected officials by calling 202-224-3121. Again, that's 202-224-3121. Condolences. Reverend Al Sharpton and National Action Network send our condolences to the family of comedian Paul Mooney, who passed away earlier this week. Mr. Mooney was an extraordinary humorist and passionate community activist. May he rest in peace and power. Kristen Clark confirmation. The U.S. Senate voted this week to advance the nomination of Kristen Clark to serve as Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights in the U.S. Justice Department. The next step is a confirmation vote by the Senate. Call your senators today at 202-224-3121 and tell them that it's time to hashtag confirm Clark. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in and join us also via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and also live on Facebook at National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us and or if you're not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get to the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call 877-626-4651. Again, that's 877-626-4651, or text the word NAN, N-A-N, to 59769. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Ponder. Membership at National Action Network is more than your typical membership. It's a way of life. It's the members and supporters that keep our organization prospering towards reaching the fulfillments of the people we fight for on a daily basis. For those of you who are not members of NAN, we encourage you to take the time to get in the action and help us shape history. Join NAN today. You can do so by logging on to our website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and click on the link, Take Action Now, or call us toll-free at 877-626-4651. You can even text us now to become a member. Text the word NAN to 59769. This Thursday, National Action Network will host virtually its Legal Night, which happens the last Thursday of every month. It will occur on Thursday, May 27, 2021 at 6:30 6:30 p.m. with the focus of adolescent and juvenile offenders and changes in New York's criminal law. It's a wonderful time for you to join National Action virtually, hear from a team of experts and attorneys, and possibly get advising on your legal situation. Again, that's Legal Night this Thursday, May 27, 2021, 6:30 p.m. live on Zoom. For additional information, please call us at 877-626-4651. The National Action Network Political Action and Second Chance Committees will hold a 5th Saturday voter suppression forum as a part of our voter education project series in May for Labor History Month. From the comfort and safety of your own home, you can join the NAN PAC as they mark May as Labor History Month on Saturday, May 29, 2021 at 12:30 p.m. The purpose of the forum will be focusing on voter suppression with an emphasis on ranked choice voting. Starting this year, New York City will use ranked choice voting in primary and special elections for city offices on the ballot, like the next mayor, public advocate, comptroller, new borough presidents, and the majority of the city council. There is a citywide primary election on Tuesday, June 22nd. Let me repeat that for all New Yorkers listening. There is a citywide primary election on Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021 with ranked choice voting. Early voting starts June 12, 2021. There will also be voter registration and information available today, Saturday, May 22nd, at 2:00 p.m. in front of the House of Justice, located at 106 West 145th Street, for people who want to come by and ask questions and receive information in person. This Friday, May 28, 2021, is the last day to register to vote in the primary elections on Tuesday, June 22nd. So make sure you and everyone you know around you is registered. Early voting again begins Saturday, June 12th to Sunday, June 20th. Polls open at 6:00 a.m. To join the informational forum or to receive additional info, please give us a call at 877-626-4651. Well, it's that time of the program for What's on Your Mind, where you, the community, you, the people, you, the membership base, have the opportunity to interact with the National Action Network 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. Good morning. Give us your name. Let us know where you are from and share with us what's on your mind today.
Hello, my name is Ocean and I'm one of the youth huddlers and I'm from Brooklyn. Today is actually World Goth Day, and for those of you who don't know what being Gothic is that it's typically dressing in black or basically punk rocker aesthetic, just like what I have on right now. So I'm also representing a group that is not always represented in social media, TV shows, and even movies. So if you want to ask more for what's means to be Gothic, please see me later.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Good morning, sir. Give us your name, let us know where you reside, and briefly share with us today what's on your mind.
Good morning, man family. My name is Joe Gonzalez, and what's on my mind is the large amount of violent crime that is ripping through New York City and other cities in the country. And I just want to make an appeal to everyone under the sound of my voice to do everything you can to be alert to what's taking place around you and around your family, and to do everything you can to be safe. I'm just so concerned what's in the news just the last few weeks, and my worst fear is that somebody in the Nan family may fall victim. So what's on my mind is for everyone to just do everything you can to be alert and stay safe in the weeks and months ahead as we go into the summer months. And that's what's on my mind.
Thank you so much for sharing with us that, Joe. And we also have an email from Jocelyn Shutak, who is a 16-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Jocelyn Shutak. I'm 16 years old and I live in North Carolina, just south of Charlotte. Recently, with the Chauvin verdict, the introduction of the Justice in Policing Act, and the upcoming anniversary of George Floyd's murder, I felt compelled to make a portrait honoring Mr. Floyd. I tried to get his painting hung in my school's display case, but my school's principal ended up saying that I couldn't because I'm not currently taking a visual arts course and our school year is too close to being over. I had already planned to send you the painting, Reverend Sharpton, so that you and National Action Network could use it to raise awareness for the Justice in Policing Act. Whatever you decide to do, I'm sure it will be really good. You've got a history of doing good things, and your work has benefited everyone in this country. I think it's especially important to be using your voice however you can, to speak out, like you said, on Politics Nation. I'm trying to do that more, because even though I can't vote yet, I can hopefully influence the people in my life who can vote and help make change that way. Sincerest regards, Jocelyn Shutak. Yes, from a 16-year-old out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And the last is an excerpt from our very own Reverend Al Sharpton. If you follow him on social media, you know that every morning he does his inspirational messages, and here's one from this week. I heard it said that in the Bible that if the innkeeper had known that Mary and Joseph were having Jesus the Messiah, he would have given up his bedroom rather than have the child born in a barn. But he didn't know who he was. Well, the same is true in your journey and mine. People would have treated us differently. They wouldn't have backstabbed us or marginalized us or ignored us if they knew who we were and who we could become. But the real problem is, we would have treated ourselves differently if we realized who we were, who we could become, who we would become. Do you know who you are? Do you treat yourself as becoming something great and significant? Know who you are. And that concludes this weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind. Keep in mind, everything you heard here are simply the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network. And you can engage with us 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to have with us in the house, standing in for our musical director, Brother Tyrone Richardson, the writer of the change song, our dear very own Brother Brevon Neal.
I may not be the best of everything or have the best of anything. Sometimes I feel like I'm the least of all. But I know someone who has everything, and to me he is my everything. I'm happy just to know that I'm his child. I may not be the best of everything or have the best of anything. Sometimes I feel like I am the least of all, but I know someone who has everything, and God is my everything, and I'm happy
at National Action Network, our members are hard working on the ground to raise the issues and making change a reality in this country. To hear more about what our Family and Children Preservation Committee is doing right here from the New York City chapter, please welcome Ms. Joyce Sanchez.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody, and I praise the Lord for being here this morning with all of you. Yes, this is a Family Preservation Committee, and I'm pleased to present that we have been working very hard down there in Queens with the Spanish community and also in Jamaica, Queens, with brothers and sisters down there. Everything that has to do with parental rights. We are so concerned about how parents in New York City and even in New York State are being criminalized or over-criminalized with ACS. It's brutal, it hurts my heart, and we have a couple of people, brothers and sisters, that are engaged and they have made a commitment with Family Preservation Committee from National Action Network. They belong to they belong to the body of Christ, belong to a church, not specifically a church. They're just Christians, and we are supporting a couple of bills. That one is right now in the Assembly of New York State. It's the A6085, which I encourage everybody to look up, to check it out and to vote. We encourage in our community and down there in Queens, which is Jackson Heights, all those districts, District 25, 30, 35, 2, 34, working, the engagement as citizens to vote for A6085, which is shared custody. And we do understand that shared custody can be very, very controversial, right? Because we do have cases of domestic violence, but we also believe that Christ has to be there in the midst of those families. And that's how we're working. We're working Family Preservation Committee from the scriptures. We're working and we want to follow the design of our Father in heaven. That's the way He designed, a mom and a dad. And those issues have to be solved. We do believe that maybe daddies or mommies that have anger issues, I know that the Christ can help them and restore that family. Also, so we have done this banner. We're coming out in the streets and taking signatures. We try to collect 10,000 signatures before June 10th to vote, from the community from Jackson Heights, and get those signatures over to Albany. And also, there's another bill that we're also working at a New York State level. It's no, it's not A, sorry. It's S5773. And that is Miranda rights for parents. That's actually a very known, I don't know, you guys, maybe you're familiar with her. She's Joyce McMillan. She's a great activist. She's actually here from Harlem. And she helped to draft that bill. It's at the state level right now within the Children's and Families Committee. So we're also encouraging and promoting, that bill to be passed. We're getting signatures for that bill as well. And also confidential report instead for anonymous report, because we know that a lot of, this anonymous reporting, on parents, there's usually sometimes are false. And that brings, the cops into the homes, snatching the kids from the homes. And then when you realize you're in the midst of, you're already in a year or 2 years have passed before you can get rid of the system that has, institutionalized and intervened your family. So that's the work that we're doing. And yeah, and I just wanted to present, and also we would like to, well, they know that COVID has been here, you know, in the city, but now probably, yeah, it will be out. So we're planning to be here, you know, more frequently. So thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Joyce. And if you are interested in hearing more about the Family Preservation Committee, you can give us a call here at the National Action Network at 877-626-4651. This week marks the first year of the death of George Floyd, and we will kick off our New York City Candidates Forum starting this week. Please welcome our New York City Field Director, Derek Perkinson, with more information on how you can get into the action. Derek Perkinson.
Good morning, NAN family. Good morning. It's a beautiful Saturday. Good morning. On behalf of National Action Network and Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, NAN presents our Candidates Forum series. Give it up. Give it up. So, after today's rally, from 5 to 6, Saturday and Sunday, you catch Reverend Sharpton on MSNBC. Monday, we have Huddle, 6 to 7:30 here. Be here. And then we're kicking off our Mayor's Candidates Forum series with the Mayor's candidates right here in person at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street, 6 to 8 p.m. This forum will be moderated by Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. Following that Wednesday, the 26th, on Zoom, we will have the Brooklyn Borough Candidates Forum from 5 to 7 on Zoom and on our live streaming platforms, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Thursday, May 27th, finds us Legal Night. Please tap in for Legal Night, starting at 6:45 p.m. Friday, we continue our Candidates Forum series with the Bronx Borough President candidates, and that will also be a Zoom. And that's Friday. Saturday, we have the Saturday Action Rally, and we also have the MSNBC 5 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday. Thank you, and no justice.
Our youth are fired up and into the action. NAN Youth Huddle stands for helping to unite dreamers to develop, lead, and empower. And we do just that with our NAN Youth Huddle that meets every Monday evening here at the House of Justice at 6 o'clock p.m. Please welcome with a report from the youth, NAN Youth Huddle President, Floyd.
Good morning, National Action Network. My name is Floyd. I'm an international business major at Morehouse College and the president of the NAN Youth Huddle. Today I'll be speaking about the issues facing the Black youth, specifically in our city of New York. But while writing this speech, I was still upset. I was upset because the problems that I'll be talking about today, I faced years ago in my journey in the New York public school system. I'll start with the specialized elite high schools. The number of Black and Latino students admitted into the schools, specialized high schools, dropped to its lowest level in 3 years. With only 9% of the admissions offers made by the specialized high schools went to Black and Latino students this year. Only 8 Black students were chosen among 749 open spots for Stuyvesant. Wow. I'll repeat it again. Only 8 Black students were accepted into Stuyvesant. And to put this into perspective, Stuyvesant is viewed as a Columbia or Harvard of the high schools in New York City. People's first reaction to this was because of the pandemic, less students of color applied for the schools. But we can see that this is not true, because before the pandemic, in 2019, only 7 students got into Stuyvesant, and 10 students the year before that, and 13 the year before that. So as we can see, this is a pattern and a sign of the segregation in the public school system. There's many comments after this. One was to get rid of the specialized high school admissions test, or SHSAT for short. Another said that Black students just have to toughen up and do better. But as someone who has applied for the schools and actually take the test, I have my own views and ideas. For one, when I took the test 6 years ago, When I took the test 6 years ago, I was only a couple points off to actually getting accepted. But then I spoke with other students that actually got into the school and asked them, what did you do differently? The questions were interesting. For them, many, they were starting in elementary school. I'm gonna say it again, they started in elementary school for a test that you had to take just before high school. So they were having tutors and they were having test prep way before. So of course their test scores was a lot better than mine. So I'm saying that they should do the same thing in schools, in black and brown schools in New York City, in Harlem, in Brooklyn. We should be able to get these test preps way before. Another issue that we're facing is the voter outcome for youth. A lot of youth are not coming out to vote. Now, despite last year, there was a large amount, but when it comes to local elections, there isn't enough youth that come out. So my solution is to start on the education level. To graduate from schools in New York City, you have to take government. In that government class, they only talk about the federal level, the president, and judicial system. But if we talk about local level and talk about how it can impact our community specifically, then it could change how youth will view about politics. For example, if we talk about the city council, how they fund youth programs, then the students will become more civically engaged. Also, I want to bring student government back, but also to give them power, the ability to meet these local politicians and speak on behalf of the youth and their issues. Now, I also want to say that this is Foster Care Awareness Month, and we of the NAN Youth Huddle will be doing more events around it. We'll be standing behind Larry Malcolm Smith Jr., a foster care survivor. We'll be doing a rally on the 28th of this month, and to get more information, please search up NAN Youth Huddle on Instagram and Facebook. I would like to leave everyone with one thing. To keep NAN going, we need to think of it intergenerational. Reverend Sharpton always says that the movement is a marathon. I agree, but I also see it as a relay. We need young people to be ready to take the baton and to continue to fight for social justice. We need people of all ages. Especially youth, to come and join us. We have NAN Youth Huddle every Monday at 6 p.m. right here at the House of Justice. I'm encouraging everyone in the audience to tell the young people about the huddle, because many of you are parents, grandparents, or somehow connected to youth in your community. So before you leave, please take a couple flyers in the back and tell the people about NAN Youth Huddle. Thank you for having me. No justice, no freedom.
Thank you, Chief Felipe Dosa. We have a special guest in the house today that is no stranger to our community and this city. He has been fighting for progressive change in the criminal justice system for many years. He is a Harlem native, and he is a champion for the people. Please welcome at this time, Manhattan DA candidate, Alvin Bragg.
Go justice! Go justice! Wanted to focus today on voting. I know we've got a few events today, and as I was sitting here listening to our spiritual, I thought back to Fannie Lou Hamer, our icon from the South, and how she was talking about and fighting for voting rights in the 60s. And she said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I thought about that when you looked up Andrew Brown, another case where there's no accountability of a black life taken. George Floyd, Eleanor Bumpers, Emmett Till. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Then I heard the announcement about my dear sister, Kristen Clark, who's up to be nominated to run our Civil Rights Division. I came up with Kristen. I've known her, I was about 19 and she was 18 when we met. They're holding up her nomination for no good reason. Wow. Nothing new under the sun. Remember Lonnie Guinier? Yes. Another black woman, the same position, held up. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So we know what we have to do. June 22nd, and I'm not just talking about the DA's race, I'm talking about all the races. We got to get out there, we got to vote. And we got a lot planned. We've heard from Mr. Perkinson. We got plans today, and we know this runs through the church for us. As I was listening to the spiritual, I was thinking about Proverbs, which says that a nation fails without guidance but needs many advisors, right? Our advisors in this city, our mayor, our comptroller, our public advocate, our borough presidents, our district attorneys, all on the ballot. So we got to get out. And I submit to you that the scripture provides the blueprint. I think about Matthew, says, feed the hungry, house the homeless, visit those in prison. A blueprint. We got lots of policy proposals. I have many on my website, but it's laid out in the good book. What we're supposed to do is real basic. But we got to take it back to Fannie Lou Hamer's time. We got to leave the walls of the church, leave the walls of the House of Justice, as Nan has been doing for years, and take it to the people to make sure we've got a great turnout in our community on June 22nd. And that starts today. I know we'll hear from, I believe, from Dr. Dukes later about the NAACP rally. My campaign will be out with Dominique Sharpton on 125th Street at the State Office Building today at 1 o'clock. We got to get out, and we got to vote, and we got to not just vote ourselves, but everyone's got to take not just one person, not 5 people, but 10 people. And to your point, we got to take our youth, or to be more specific, our youth will lead us, because y'all are in the way. So, no justice? No justice? Thank you, Nan.
All right, thank you very much, Alvin Bragg. Every Saturday, we have an inspirational word coming from one of our leading pastors in this city. Please welcome this morning Pastor Archie Manning, Associate Minister at the Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York.
God bless you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's praise the Lord this morning. Your inspirational message. I bring you greetings from the Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York, where I serve as the Associate Minister for Children and Youth under my pastor, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, who is, as you know, the esteemed chairman of the board here at the National Action Network. And what an honor it is for me to stand here in the House of Justice and to greet you all. I want to acknowledge and thank Reverend Al Sharpton, who is a man of honor, integrity, discipline. He is a man of, most of all, consistency. I want to tell you that it's hard to find that in this TikTok, microwave, Instagram world that we live in now. A person of consistency. He's been fighting for justice for decades, and most people who had gone through what he's gone through and been talked about the way he's been talked about. Most people would have called it quits a long time ago, but I thank God that Reverend Al Sharpton is not most people. I want you to pray for him. I want you to pray for him every day as he crisscrosses this country on our behalf, as he speaks out against justice and as he fights for the dignity of all people on behalf of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I also solicit your prayers this morning for myself as I address you. I want to acknowledge my wife, my beautiful wife, Elizabeth, and our 3 sagacious girls, Victoria, Olivia, and Gloria. Now I'd like to call your attention to a short section of a prison letter that a man named Paul wrote to his church family in the city of Philippi. We dress it up when we say Philippians, the 3rd chapter, verses 12 through 16, but when we strip it all down to what it really is, it's a prison letter from a man locked up on the inside behind bars, trying to give hope and comfort to people on the outside. Hear these words from the Apostle Paul, the convict. Now that I have already obtained this, or have already reached the goal, I press on to make it my own, because Christ Jesus has made me his own. Beloved, I do not consider that I have made it on my own, but this one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind me and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the high calling of Jesus Christ. Let those of us then who are mature be of the same mind, and if you think differently about anything, this too God will reveal to you. Only let us hold fast to what we have attained. This morning I want to speak to you briefly on the subject, holding fast to our true legacy. This Tuesday, May 25th, will be the 1 year since the murder of George Floyd, and many in social media and in traditional media say that the murder of George Floyd is what sparked and ignited this new social justice movement, but we know better. It didn't start with any of the recent tragedies that we have suffered in our community, not with Eric Garner being choked out in broad daylight, not with Walter Scott, Tamir Rice, Ayanna Jones, Stephon Clark, not with Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, Ezell Ford, or Ahmaud Arbery. Some say it may have started with Emmett Till back in 1955 when his mother insisted that he have an open casket funeral so that the world could see the manifestation of evil beaten on the face of a 14-year-old innocent child. No, it didn't start there either. Our struggle for human rights, for dignity, and freedom began when we were stolen from Africa, leaving the shores of the African coast in 1619. When the first African woman and man with a quiet anthropomorphic declaration said, "Before I be a slave, I'd rather jump off this boat into a watery grave." And in that act of bold defiance, they leapt, hallelujah, into the depths of the Atlantic. That's when the movement began. It began there, and we've been resisting ever since the inception of our captivity. And it didn't stop there. No, our forefathers and foremothers in the antebellum South on the plantation in the dark of night sang that old Negro spiritual, "Oh freedom, oh freedom, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free." That's the legacy we come from. That's the energy that propels this movement today. We come from a legacy of righteous resistance. As you've heard last month, Andrew Brown Jr. succumbing to a kill shot to the back of the head while being served a search warrant. When does a search warrant and arrest end in murder? When it involves us. But we will not allow them to subjugate us. We will not allow them to terrorize us. We will not sit by and allow law enforcement that is sworn to serve and protect be our judge, jury, and executioner and murder us in cold blood without feeling the effects of our righteous resistance. We resist because we are children of the King. We are children of the Most High God. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. 1 Peter 2:8-10 declares, "For you are a chosen generation." Do you know who you are? A royal priesthood, a holy nation, to declare the praises of him who brought you out of darkness and into the marvelous light. It's time to come out of the darkness, brothers and sisters. We have to remember our legacy, a legacy of righteous resistance. The scripture says in verse 12, "Not that we have already obtained." That means that we're not there yet. America has made some awesome strides, to be sure, but I'm here to tell you that we're not there yet. And I don't care what the senator from South Carolina said with his mixed up mind in his Republican rebuttal. America is still burdened with this original sin of racism. And until we deal with this as a nation, we will never experience her full potential. That's our legacy, a legacy of righteous resistance. But not only that, we come from a legacy of excellence. I'm so proud of this young man who stood before you and spoke so eloquently on the issues of today. That's our legacy of excellence. In Paul's prison letter, he writes in verse 13, "But this one thing I do, forgetting all that lies behind me, we keep straining forward to what lies ahead." In verse 14, "I press." Somebody say, "I press." I press on toward the goal for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. We're living right now in the cool shades of the legacy of those who pressed on before us. Our forefathers and foremothers, they fought relentlessly so that we could have the opportunities to receive the best education possible. No, it wasn't perfect, but they pressed on anyway. No, it wasn't easy, but they pressed on toward the mark. They may have cried all night long, but they pressed on knowing that joy would come in the morning. Forgetting the mess that surrounded them, the racism, the segregation. They forget that and they press forward, praying in faith that what lies ahead for us would be better than what they experienced. And now it's our turn, brothers and sisters. We need to ensure that we are still pressing forward so that when our young and those yet unborn are standing on our shoulders, they'll have something wonderful to look at. How can we have a legacy of excellence? Well, by passing the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. so that future generations will be free of discriminatory profiling and policies that terrorize our communities exclusively. How can we have a legacy of excellence? Try spending more money on what we put inside our heads than what we spend on products that we put on our heads. Well, you might not have caught that. We need to be more informed as a people. We need to read more than just hashtags and Twitter feeds. Some of us haven't read a book since we graduated from school. And if I'm honest, I didn't even read all the books that I was assigned all the way through anyway. I just read enough to do well on the test. But when I realized that my true legacy came from a culture that valued, fought for, bled, and died for the right for me to be educated, I realized that it wasn't enough for me just to read what the teacher assigned me. It wasn't enough just to read what the teacher gave me. I wanted to know what the teacher was reading. I didn't want to miss out. I wanted to know what she knew. That is your legacy. I don't know where that shift happened in our culture where we came to praise foolishness and ignorance instead of excellence. Look at our own Reverend Sharpton wrote a book back in 2013, had a positive effect on my life. He didn't even know it. The Rejected Stone, 23 life lessons for changing times. And I picked up his latest book, and I pray that he'll sign it for me. There's information in books that you can't get in a hashtag. My pastor, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, just wrote a bestseller called Witness to Grace, a testimony of favor. It's being read in seminaries across the country. That is our legacy, the legacy of excellence. Yes, we are excellent in athletics, but we are also excellent in academics. We're excellent in entertainment, but also engineering. In music, yeah, but in mathematics as well. In social media and social sciences. That is our legacy. They didn't march in the civil rights movement just so that we could show our behind on Instagram and TikTok, but so we could show up in classrooms, colleges, and boardrooms. Legacy of righteous resistance, a legacy of excellence. But we also come from a legacy of faith. I'm coming to a close. I've been black all my life, and I found out there are 3 things that you don't play with in the black community. Number 1, you don't play with our food. Huh? Number 2, you don't play with our money. And number 3, you don't play with our God. According to the Pew Research study, African Americans are still the most religious group in America. While others are turning away from the church, we, by and large, are maintaining a religious consciousness. It's because we know something about this God that maybe they don't. We know God to be a way maker, a miracle worker, a doctor in the sick room, a lawyer in the courtroom, a light in the darkness. We know that the Bible, when interpreted accurately, is not just some words on a page. This is a social justice document. It is written under the inspiration of God by those who have been persecuted. God didn't choose society's elite to spread his word, nor did he choose the rich and the powerful for the prosperity. God knew that if he gave them the word, they would twist it up so that the powerful would stay in positions of power and the words would be a tool of oppression. After all, if you study your history, that's what they did. And that's what the far right and the evangelicals are trying to do today. But we serve the true and the living God, the God of justice, the God of mercy, the God of wisdom and righteousness, holiness and love. God who so loved the world that he sent his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. We serve Jesus, not the blind, blue-eyed Jesus, but the real Jesus. Not the Jesus that they try to give us, but the Jesus who doesn't oppress. Not the Jesus who subjugates the world to a white male-dominated hierarchy. Not the Jesus, you can keep that Jesus. I want the real Jesus. I want the Jesus who spoke out against religious right of his day. That Jesus. I want the historical Jesus. I want the homeless, non-violent Jesus. The Jesus who said foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the Son of Man does not have a place to lay his head. I want the brown-skinned, Middle Eastern Jesus. I want the colonized Roman Empire Jesus that walked up the streets of Palestine. I want the Jewish Jesus, the teacher and practitioner of restorative justice. I want the Jesus they killed and crucified on the cross for my sins, who hung, bled, and died on that old rugged cross so that I might have life and have it more abundantly. That's what we have. A legacy of righteous resistance, of excellence, and a legacy of faith. God bless your house of justice. I pray that the Lord bless you and keep you. No justice.
My, what a wonderful word. And now another selection from our very own Brother Brevon Neal.
Everywhere you go, there is trouble. Everywhere you go, there is strife. Everywhere you go, there is something that worries you. Just remember, God is standing by. Everywhere you go, there is trouble. Everywhere you go, there is strife. Well, everywhere you go, there is something that worries you. Just remember, my God is standing by. God is standing by, so there's no need to cry. God is standing near, there's no need to fear. Jesus will be there because he's everywhere. Listen, he'll roll the dark clouds away. He'll hear you when you pray. God will hear you when you call. He'll catch you before you fall. Jesus will be your friend. He'll be with you till the end. Just remember, God is standing by. Everywhere you go, there is trouble. Everywhere you go, there is strife. Everywhere you go, there is something that worries you. Just remember, God is standing by. God is right there. There's no need to cry. God is standing near, no need to fear. Jesus will be there because he's everywhere. Listen, he'll roll the dark clouds away. He'll hear you when you pray. God will hear you when you call. He'll even catch you before you fall. Jesus will be your friend. He'll go with you till the end. Remember, God is standing by. God is standing by. There's no need to cry. God is standing here, no need to fear. Jesus will be there because he's everywhere. Well, he'll roll the dark clouds away. He'll hear you when you pray. God will catch you before you fall. He'll hear you when you call. Jesus will be your friend. He'll go with you till the end. Just remember, my God is standing by. Just remember, God is always standing by. Just remember, God is standing by.
God is standing by. Well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here with us in the House of Justice, stand to your feet, and if you're at home, stand to your feet as well. We welcome at this time the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. 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 Fist bump the person next to you, tell them you love them.
Never give up and never give in. Change will come, keep it down with it. Troubles and trials won't last always. God on our side, nothing but God. My sister, hold on, be strong. A better day is coming and it won't be soon. Yes, change will come, change will come, change will come. Starting with you. Starting with you. Never give up and never give in. Change will come, keep it down with it. Troubles and trials won't last always. God on our side, nothing but God. My sister, hold on, be strong. A better day is coming and it won't be too long. Yes, change will come, change will come, change will come. Your change will come, your change is gonna come. Your change will come, your change is gonna come. Change will come, change will come, change will come. Starting with you.
National Action Network Change Ensemble, give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally for you that are here at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the Village of Holland. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM radio in New York or watching us live on Facebook or at our live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net, we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning where we give our report on where the action is. Let's give a hand for our convener this morning, Sister Katrina Jefferson. Katrina Jefferson is presided this morning. We're happy to have her, and certainly didn't we enjoy that message, that inspirational message from Alvin Manning. Give Reverend Manning a big hand. All right, we're glad to, let me move quickly. We are going to have several people. This is the weekend that we are starting the first anniversary for the lynching by knee of George Floyd. On Tuesday, the 25th, will be the first year. And on that night, that evening from 6 to 8, I've asked all the Democratic candidates for mayor to be here to talk about their programs around policing and social justice. I'm going to moderate that myself here at the House of Justice at 6 p.m. sharp. If they can't show up on time, they can't be mayor on time. And I'm going to ask them all 2 or 3 questions and move on. But that's how we are going to deal with George Floyd Day. The family is doing several things on Sunday. I'll be in Minneapolis with at the scene of the crime. We're having a big memorial march with George Floyd's sister, Bridget,
And here in New York, Terrace Floyd is having a gathering going across the Brooklyn Bridge. And then on Tuesday, they're going to go to the White House and see President Biden. Biden is going to also meet with civil rights leaders at some point, but this is for the family. We need to understand that George Floyd's murder, George Floyd's lynching, was an inflection point if we make it that. The fact that the whole world stopped and marched and blacks and whites came out is a great thing if it leads to legislative change. And that's why we must put our efforts toward continuing the fight. One of the reasons that I'm so happy that Nan was at the forefront with Gwen Carr, who's here, mother of Eric Garner, give her a hand. And one of the reasons I'm happy about that is because the Eric Garner lynching galvanized New York. But she wouldn't stop, not only till she got Pantiello fired, she wouldn't give up until we made an Eric Garner law in the state of New York. The reason that I know we can get this George Floyd bill through Congress is we got the law through the city council of Eric Garner in New York, and then a state law where Governor Andrew Cuomo gave the pens to Miss Carr and Hazel Dukes and myself. So we made law in New York. We ain't guessing. It's against the law to choke somebody to death if you're a New York City policeman. A lot of folk be making noise. We make change. Now, in that light, I want to tell you that we are initiating today a program called Show Up, Turn Out. Show Up, Turn Out. Show Up, Turn Out. Everybody say that. Show up, turn out. Any of you that have lived long enough know that you can't turn nothing out that you didn't show up for. You got to first show up in order to turn out. Some of y'all, I was listening to Brother Dosa, our youth leader, and I can tell the young boys, you can't turn a girl out until you show up. I figure I put it where y'all understand. And a girl can't turn you out if she don't show up. All this talk about what y'all can do. That's with me, I'll turn them out. You got to first show up to turn out. See, that's why we meet on Saturdays, not Sundays, because I can say at Nan what Johnny Green shouldn't say in the pulpit about Nebo. What we are calling for is that on primary day, whoever you vote for, you need to show up because we need to turn this city out. After what we've gone through with a pandemic and policing and all these issues, we need to turn this city out. There's going to be a new mayor, and we need to weigh in heavy on who's going to be the mayor, who's going to be the borough president, who's going to be the DA. We need to show up and turn out. Now let me tell you why this also is important. This is the first year that we're going to have ranked voting. Ranked voting means that you can go to a second choice. Now, let me tell y'all, let me get y'all ready for this. Unless somebody gets 50% of the vote on primary day, then they go to the ranked voting that will not even be counted until the second week in July. I mean, there won't be no election win unless somebody gets 50% of the vote, which is unlikely. You got 8 folk running. So you got to wait to mid-July. Imagine you running for mayor. Let's welcome Impact TV watching us all over the country. You running for mayor, 22nd, you get your vote. Nobody get 50%. You can't even enjoy the 4th of July because you don't know whether you won or lost. Because they're going to bring in all the absentee ballots and everything else. So that is why we have started this campaign of show up, turn out. And I have 3 of our co-chairs with me this morning. They're going to give us a couple of minutes each on why this is important. First, I want to hear from the pastor and spiritual leader of God's Battalion of Prayer in Brooklyn, New York, my friend and brother, Reverend Dr. Al Cockfield. Come on, Reverend.
Good morning, National Action Network. Good morning. I greet you in the matchless name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We have to show up and turn out. We have to show up and turn out. Now, the ranked choice voting, they waiting for all these black candidates to come in to bring that into our city. That is a form of voter suppression.
Yes, it is. That's right. Yes, it is.
But we still going to show up and turn out. If you want better schools, show up and turn out. You want better health care, show up, turn out. You want a mayor look like us, you better show up and turn out. You want a DA that look like us, you better show up and turn out. You want a controller that looks like us, you better show up and turn out. Everything that we deal with every day, all of these elections, people focus only on the presidential. But the municipalities is what affects our day-to-day. Our daycares that are closing because contracts are not registered, you better show up and turn out. Our small businesses that are struggling, you better show up and turn. Our churches that are struggling, you better show up and turn out. This election is the most important election in our time. Someone wise that I know and I look up to said, people sacrifice their life not knowing who would benefit, but they still showed up and they turned out. We have to, we must show up and turn out. God bless you.
Give him a big hand, Reverend Al Cockfield. One of the outstanding leaders of our time, has led for decades, unparalleled, the godmother of civil rights, the president of the New York State chapter of the NAACP and affiliates, Hazel N. Duke.
You know what? And I am a member of NAM. I don't make no bones about it. I've been with Reverend ever since he was a little tot. He's one of my children. All over this city. Now, it's in the paper yesterday, and I'm going to say it again, and my shirt say, black the vote, black, 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 black. Charles Barron, black, 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 black. I joined with the group, with Reverend Sharpton and them, to say to our community, it is a disgrace.
Yes, ma'am.
30 years since David Dinkins. We want to moralize and cry about David. David ain't coming back. Like Reverend King is not coming back. But those of us who are left with hands and feet and mouth, let's get out. We are sleeping. We elect Biden and Harris, and then we went back to sleep. So today in every borough, I got cars going waking our community up, saying to them that June is coming. I know Memorial Day is coming. Y'all gonna cook fish and have barbecues. We're gonna come to your backyard and disturb you while you eat. Because we got to do what? Lord, what we got to do? And what else? Turn out. Show up and turn out. Rev just told you, you can't show up and turn out if nobody's there. So what they did to us, and it's in the newspaper, some white good people, some of them I know, I like them, I work with them, but they went and did a trick on us, a trick bag. This is voter suppression. Y'all want to talk about Georgia? Talk about New York City. People have been making phone calls. People say, what? We ain't voting no Jew. I don't like them. Who y'all talking about? I got to vote for 5 people, 3 people. I don't like them. Our community is confused. Yeah. But we got time now. You see Reverend Sharpton, Reverend Green, Reverend Comfrey, all these folks up here? We got time to wake our community up. We got to wake them up, and what do we got to do? Show up. We can start showing up. You don't have to wait till June 22nd. You can start June 12th. You can start June 12th. I'm going to be there. Now, they're not going to put me in jail for giving you water in New York. If it's 90 degrees, if it's 80, come on to your voting places. We're going to have some water and might have some peanut butter sandwiches. I'm not on that yet. Don't try to get something to give you. But I want you to do what? Show up. Turn out. If you care about our children, do what? Show up and turn out. If you care about our black boys not being killed and in the pipeline, what you gonna do? Show up and turn out. If you want good health care, what you gonna do? Show up, turn out. See you then.
Hazel Dukes, give her a hand. Last but not least, and I wanted to make sure we was on Impact because his daddy watches me every Saturday, so I'm going to let him see his son. He is one of the great pulpiteers and teachers in this country today, heads Impact all over the country, and a member of the National Board of National Action Network, the pastor of Mount Nebo Baptist Church of Harlem, the Reverend Johnny Green.
No justice, no justice, no justice, no peace. I want to thank God for my big brother and mentor extraordinaire, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Can we give him a thunderous applause? I don't want to be redundant and rehash what has already been shared so eloquently with us. Today, I want to more so appeal to the black pastors throughout New York City and our black church friends across the length and breadth of this city. Reverend Sharpton always points out how important it is for us to understand our history, but I want to point out something. It's important for us to be able to identify anointed and God-appointed leadership. And when we think about anointed and God-appointed leadership, we think about Reverend Al Sharpton. God selects certain people for such a time as this. And Rev has been at the forefront of this movement, show up and turn out. And if Rev is a part of it, I'm a part of it because I understand connectivity. It's important. And the black church, let me just say this to those of you in the audience, those of you who are listening on the radio, those of you who are watching live on Facebook, those of you in the Impact audience, everything significant, everything, any movement, any significant transition or change that has ever taken place in America that impacted the lives of people of color, the church has been at the center and the circumference of it. And we cannot afford as pastors and leaders in this city not to stress the importance of showing up and turning out on June the 22nd. If you don't show up, you don't count. And if you're not going to show up and turn out, then you ought to shut up. Put up or shut up. Don't just talk the talk. Walk the walk. If you have questions about ranked choice voting, if you have questions about early voting, there's a website, showupturnout.com. Go there, go through the website, and learn more about this upcoming election. And let me say this new method of voting, it is voter suppression. But I want to point this out. The Republicans didn't do this to us. The Republicans didn't do this. Mitch McConnell and Getz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, those staunch racists, they didn't do this to us. The people that we call friends did this to us. And so it's important that on June 22nd, we show up and turn out. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, but whatever you do, do not stay home. Pastors, please appeal to your congregation and the people that you serve, the communities that you serve. Show up, turn out.
Reverend Johnny Green, give him another hand. I want to say that we are dedicating this broadcast. Certainly, I think it was mentioned in the first hour that we lost one of the great entertainers, comedians, who used to come by the House of Justice all the time, Brother Paul Mooney. And we wish his family our prayers. And one of the founding leaders in National Action Network, Brother Blagin, who started the National Action Network security here, passed. He's gotten sick, hadn't been around for a few years, but James Blagin was there from PS 175 all the way till the House of Justice. And I talked to his son, and we pray for him. Let me say this, and I'm going to give my report. As I think Derek Perkison announced, that we're going to, Tuesday night, we'll be at 6 to 8 with the mayoral candidates, and then they're having virtual on Wednesday, the Brooklyn Borough President candidates. Then legal night, Thursday night, in person here. Then Friday, the Bronx Borough President candidates. Now, we, National Action Network, don't endorse nobody, though all of us have our individual choices. But I looked up and, you know, out of all of the work we've done, one person said that I want a school named after you, Reverend Sharpton. And he's a member of the city council. He's a preacher, a pastor, and he's running for Bronx Borough President. Now, he's not here because he's running for Bronx Borough President. I'm not even supposed to mention he's running for Bronx Borough President. So y'all don't even know he's running for Bronx Borough President. Because I didn't tell you he was running. I didn't mention Bronx Borough President. Hazel, I didn't say Bronx Borough President. So I want y'all to hear from my friend, Councilman Reverend Fernando Cabrera.
Thank you so much, Reverend. As I was thinking and hearing my esteemed pastors and icons that are right behind me, I couldn't help but to think about a principle that we should all live by. When change is necessary, not to change is destructive. Can I say that again, church? When change is necessary, not to change is destructive. This is why in the 60s the banner was carried by Dr. Martin Luther King. This is why we see today Reverend Al Sharpton carrying that banner. And can I speak to the church again? Because it was in the 60s that it was the church that refused to allow us to stay in the back of the bus. For too long, we were in the back of the bus. Then we began to move up. But can I say something today? Can I keep it real? I said, can I keep it real? Now, we're not even in the bus. They have kept us outside of the discussion. It's time for the church to arise again and to get back in the bus, to get back in the driver's seat of the discussion of the issues of the truth and of justice. Thank you so much for what you do, Reverend Al. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep driving the bus until we get to the finish line. God bless you.
All right, give him a big hand. One of the things, when we look at this week alone, one of the reasons that we gather on Saturdays is we don't have the luxury of going through a week and not gathering and review where we are and where we're going. We should be meeting every day. When they did the Montgomery bus boycott in '55, they had rallies every night. That's right. And Hazel is from Alabama. They rallied every night. That's how they were successful. And many of us do not understand that since last Saturday, we've seen things happen. Since last Saturday, they come out with a tape of a man in Monroe, Louisiana, that had been dragged, pepper sprayed, and killed by police. And it happened in 2019, and they reported to his parents that he died from other circumstances. That's since last Saturday. Since last Saturday, the case of Don J. Wright in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, has now been turned over to the prosecutor, the state prosecutor in Minnesota, who also successfully prosecuted Chauvin in the case of George Floyd. So now the same prosecutor that was successful there now has the case of Wright. You remember Wright was killed by a policewoman, traffic stop, during the trial of Chauvin. And 2 days after we got the verdict guilty, I had to preach Wright's funeral there in Brooklyn Center. One of the things that is interesting to me as I was listening to Brother Cabrera challenge the church and Johnny Green is that we have gotten away from the fact that we are called to suffer for righteousness. Why do I want to go there? Too many of us have gotten in this comfortable cuddling kind of ministry where we think that we were called to be servants by being served rather than doing the serving. You know, you go down Wall Street or the corporate world and they offer you a job. You ask, what is your package? What's the packages? What is your salary? What is your housing accommodations? What is your insurance? What is your retirement fund? That's a package. Well, you come to the church now, and you got more of us, Reverend Cockfield, that want to know our package than want to know our assignment of duty. So you preach for the best package rather than preach to tell the truth. And you don't stand up and suffer for the righteousness of the cause. You avoid any danger and controversy. I can't tell you the amount of preachers that tell me, you know, Doc, I can't touch that. You can do that. Well, then if you can't touch that, then what are you here for? I was listening when Cabrera was talking and about how we're not on the bus no more. Let me tell you something. We're coming out of this pandemic in worse shape than we went in the black and brown community. In the black and brown community, half of our small businesses are closed. With them, there are jobs that are gone. Because many of our jobs were in those businesses. Our young folk that were already 2 and 3 years behind in reading and mathematics are now another year behind. Because when they told them to go online, many of them are in broadband deserts and couldn't go online because they couldn't connect to the internet. So if you're already back, you're back even further. And there is no explanation on how you're going to instruct teachers on how to catch kids up that because of no fault of their own missed a year in education, not even being discussed. That's why you write about we not on the bus. The health care, do you realize right now that in the state of New York, we are the least vaccinated in the black community? You're the first one going to run out to the beach Memorial Day and ain't been vaccinated. You need to run out there with a needle and be shooting some folk up. Took your mask off, and herd immunity is not there because we're not there yet. Somebody got to beg you to protect yourself. Imagine that now. Somebody got to convince you to protect yourself. Ignorance is with steroids. I remember when pandemic started, everybody started with, well, first of all, I don't know if it's true. And I understand we got a reason to be suspicious, much stuff been done to black folk. But after a while, when everybody started getting sick and dying, you knew it was real. Then they come with the conspiracy, Johnny Green, that how do we know this wasn't set up for black folk? Well, I said, I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. If all them white folks dying just to set us up, that don't make sense to me. You got 588,000 people dying just to get us. I mean, some things just don't make sense. Then when we got through that, the vaccine, well, I don't know if the vaccine worked. Might be like the Tuskegee experiment. Well, first of all, read the Tuskegee experiment. The Tuskegee experiment was when there were those black that had the venereal disease, and they would not serve them with the penicillin. Wasn't that they gave them the wrong vaccine, they wouldn't give them a vaccine. Being vaccinated is the opposite of the Tuskegee experiment. See, if you would be quiet, wouldn't nobody know what you don't know. Just like preachers get up misquoting the scripture. So we need to deal with the fact that coming out of this pandemic, from health care to education, all the way across the board, clearly in the criminal justice area. Don't forget George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Rashid Brooks, all that happened during the pandemic. I've done 2 funerals for police victims since the George Floyd verdict. Andrew Brown Jr. in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and Dante Bright in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, since the verdict. That's why I'm telling Biden and them we need to have this George Floyd bill. This has not stopped, even with them seeing Chauvin handcuffed going to jail. Because until they know that they all will pay a price, they will continue to do it. That's why you got to vote in mayors and borough presidents and DAs that are going to make the law equal for everybody. but you sitting around, don't want to pay a price, but you want to get the results. You can't go in a store and get what you like unless you're going to pay for it. And we've developed a generation that wants something for nothing. The social media is good, and all that is great. But in this, I heard somebody say this morning, I think it was our guest preacher, Reverend Manning, said this morning, how in this TikTok, Instagram generation, we just want to appear, and it just happened by magic. You know, you watch TikTok, they got my phone set up where I can look at some of that stuff now. Folks just be getting props in their house, looking successful. You know, just set up stuff a certain angle, and everybody think you got all that in the house, and you ain't really got all that. You just TikTok success. And then you go back to your regular broken down house. Because you want to appear successful because you're not willing to pay the price to be successful. Like we used to have a guy when I was growing up in Brownsville. Get up every day, put on a suit, get an attaché case, and he'd strut to the train, Saratoga and Livonia. Number 2 train, he's number 3 now. And we thought he had an executive position on Wall Street. He was going downtown to beg for people to give him a quarter or dime. But he had the appearances. He had nothing in his attaché case but a sandwich. And some of y'all want to look the part rather than be the part. Where am I going with this? Jesus challenged the church. Wow. If you love me, feed my sheep. Where did we get this? If you love me, what's my package? Where did we get this that if you love me, exalt the pastor rather than exalt the needs of the people, and God will exalt the pastor if he does his will. Part of the problem is that we are making with our elected officials, with our preachers, and with our activists celebrities rather than servants. Right. You want to be a celebrity, you won't be recognized. Want to be famous. Famous for what? You want to build your brand rather than build your community. You got more Facebook followers than you got folk you can call to a rally. Oh, I got all these numbers on Facebook. How many people show up at your march? How many people show up to vote? How many people show up to register to vote? You can buy followers. You put on a G-string, and you get a whole lot of followers on Facebook. That ain't hard. Showing your behind on TikTok, you get a whole lot of TikTokers. But how many can you organize to do something? That's why if you're going to be a Christian, follow what Christ mandated. Christ put everybody through the test of suffering, because on the other side of suffering is your reward. No work, no reward. One of the things that I've learned in life is that there has never been a crisis that I have faced in my life that I became better on the other side of the crisis.
All right, all right.
There's never been a situation that I went through that was tumultuous and challenging that I didn't end up for the better on the other side.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
It took me a long time to understand that my mother was right when she said, God don't put on you more than you can bear. But the reverse of that is, why does God put something on you? God wouldn't let something come on you for you to bear if there was not a purpose for you bearing. Where am I going with this? When you go to school, you don't go from one grade to the next without being tested. Why do they test you? Because the only way they know what you know is to test your knowledge. You're first grade, you get a first grade test, go to second grade. Second grade test, go to third grade. On and on and on. You want to go higher in work and recognition and ability and power, but you don't want to pass a higher test. So you want a college degree on a first grade test. I look at all these guys running for office this year. Ain't served nowhere, ain't been nowhere, don't know them, ain't showed up in nothing. But they showed up at graduation when they never showed up in class. They in the dressing room trying to put on a cap and gown, and they've never sat behind a desk. Don't tell me why you want to be mayor, or why you want to be borough president, or why you want to be district attorney. Show me where you were with Eric Garner. Show me where you were with Sean Bell. Show me where you suffered in order to serve. Don't get up and acknowledge those of us that suffered for your ungrateful behind. Get up out here. I just admire Reverend Sharpton. So been out here for years. Isn't it wonderful? Well, where were you? I used to sit home with my television, with my slippers on and my robe, just watching them beat the hell out of him. Isn't that wonderful? And he made it. They don't even have no hickeys on his head. I'm so proud of how you recovered, Reverend Sharpton. Now, I want y'all to give me all the power that he got beat for. Well, how stupid we supposed to be?
Come on, Rev. Teach us. Teach, Rev. Teach.
That's why Jesus said, pick up your cross. And follow me. Pick up your cross and follow me. You're going to be tested. Last Supper. Y'all be having Last Supper first Sunday every month. At the Last Supper, it was also the last test. Peter, you're going to flunk because you're going to deny me 3 times. And one of y'all are going to be a traitor. Ashley keeps me up with all the culture. Got me watching, they got a series on Amazon called The Underground Railroad. And if you watch it, don't watch it late at night because it'll mess you with your sleep. When you see what they put us through in slavery, it's one thing to say it, but to watch it. Rape our women at will, and nothing you can do about it. Take your name and name yourself after, or name you after them, because your name identifies your property. It's like going to jail. You go to jail, you lose your name, you become a number. In slavery, you lost your name, and you became named after your owner. So you no longer was Abdullah, you were Mr. James. or Mrs. Scott that identified you belonged to the Scotts. They took your humanity. And those that wanted to break free were the ones that tried to get to the Underground Railroad and go north. That's why, Johnny Green, I've always said we keep having arguments about what kind of slave we want to be rather than how free we want to be. There are all kinds of slaves in slavery. Manning, they had singing slaves. They had poetry slaves that could get up and recite poetry. They had dancing slaves, could shuffle and dance. They had hard-working slaves. The only kind of slave I ever wanted to be was a runaway slave. I ain't want to be no singing slave, no poetry slave. You'll be going downtown impressing folk. Oh, I am refined. I'm polished. No, I'm angry. I ain't none of that. Well, Reverend Al, let me see your credentials. No, you're going to see more of my credentials if y'all don't straighten this mess out. We've got to stop being afraid to suffer for victories. I work out every morning. Once you get used to a certain exercise, then you got to increase it. Lift weights. When it don't make you sweat no more, you put on 5 more pounds. Go on the elliptical. When you can do a mile, then you start doing 1.5 miles. Why? Because you have to test yourself to bring yourself to your ultimate place. You don't want to suffer, which is why you will not make it to where you need to be. You don't want to pay a price. But Reverend, why do I have to suffer? Because you have to earn. That's the whole nature of society. That's the whole nature of creation. When you were born, you not just one night your parents had sex and the next night you popped out. You go through a 9-month process and your mama suffers to have you. And it caused pain to bring you in this world. And they got to cut the umbilical cord. All of that is instructive that I don't do new things unless there is some suffering involved. In your relationships, you can't get to the great days without the bad days. That's why when they crucified Jesus, you ever stop and ask yourself, why would God allow his son to be crucified? It just doesn't make sense to the carnal mind. Why would you allow God's son to be born? Regular woman, wasn't a mother of the church, wasn't the head of the missionary board, nobody knew who Mary was. Father was just a carpenter. Couldn't even get a room to have him be born. Why would he go through all of that? Other than they were showing us that if you are going to be at where Jesus was, you got to be willing to suffer for his sake in order to go to where he was going. You know, I've been to the Holy Land and I walked the trail where Jesus had to carry the cross. It is a rocky, hard trail. And to carry that cross on his back to where he stumbled and they made a black Simon pick up his cross. And then nail him to a cross. And the agony, the reason I know it was so agonizing, that's why I refer to Last Supper. Y'all run through it too quick. Go through them 7 last words. It was so bad, it was so much a test that even Jesus said, pass this cup. Isn't there another way? Father, thou forsaken me. You ain't been tested until you think God done forgot about you. You ain't been tested until despair sets in and you feel like you can't make it. It is at the end of the road, at the end of your rope, is where God meets you to graduate you to the next level. I don't know who I'm saying this for today, but somebody's at the end of the road. Somebody in a financial crisis, somebody in a health crisis, somebody got trouble in their home. It is when you are about to give up, when you're about to fall up and go over the cliff, that's where God is there to catch you. He got to get you past your arrogance. Get you past where you think you can do it all by yourself. Get you past your education and your being able to break everything down. He got to bring you to your knees to lift you to your new place. That's why when Jesus was crucified and they brought him and laid him in Joseph's tomb, a borrowed tomb. Jesus didn't have a package. They didn't have no resting place for him. They hadn't taken care of getting his cemetery plot. Had to borrow a tomb. And out of devotion, Mary Magdalene and them would come to wash his body. It was the women that came to wash his body. And they came the third day. And he wasn't there. They didn't come because they thought he wasn't there. They came out of their ritual of taking care of his body, but he wasn't there. And when they realized he'd risen, and he went and made appearances to prove he'd risen, Helen, the mother of Constantine, later said, I want to find the original cross. This is where this comes from. And Helen, the mother of Constantine, searched all over until she found what she felt was the original cross. And she would take little pieces off that cross and send it around the world because she thought that wanted people to see where he suffered would give them the strength and the power. That's where wearing the cross comes from. You got the cross on and don't know why you got the cross on. Cross wasn't no jewelry. The cross was to show you if you suffer. If you suffer, I will inspire you and give you strength. The cross is there to say no cross, no crown. Take your cross off if you ain't willing to suffer. Keep your cross in your jewelry box if you think it's a piece of jewelry. But if you're willing to pay the price, if you're willing to suffer being neglected and rejected, put your cross back on. Because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Put your cross back on. If you're ready to march until you turn this country around, put your cross back on. If you're ready to stand up and turn education around, put your cross back on. Bunch of crossless Christians are nothing but frauds and phonies. Crossless Christians. Got crowns with no crosses. Got big, exalted thrones you sit on. Yet your butt ain't big enough to cover the throne you sitting on. You can't put a narrow behind on a big throne. Don't look right, don't fit right. But the reason I can walk in the White House for George Floyd, the reason I can stand up to Cuomo for Eric Garner, is I paid the price. I suffered. I spent nights in jail. I had names called after me. I was indicted and I was prosecuted. I suffered to wear my crown. I don't care who don't like it. I don't care how jealous you get. I don't care how envious you are. I wore my cross. I deserve my crown. I see those that suffer. God never left them in their suffering. That's why I can go where I want to go. Now, yes, somebody wrote the other day, George Floyd was a huge case for Sharpton. Yeah, but I was there when it wasn't a big case. I stood up for the Central Park Five. I stood up for Tawana Brown when they called me every name in the book. But I wouldn't bend and I wouldn't buckle. I went and bared my cross. And when they came and said, we got him now, they called me a trickster, called me a fraudster, and they went to get me and mocked me. But just like Mary that third morning, when they went in the tomb, I wasn't there no more. They were searching an empty tomb. I've been lied on, cheated, talked about, mistreated. I've been up, I've been down, leveled to the ground. But through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. Through it all, I've learned to trust in God. It was at the cross. At the cross. It wasn't on vacation. It was at the cross. It wasn't in seminary. It was at the cross where I first saw the light. And the burdens of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith. I received my sight. And now, and right now, and now, I'm happy. Someone here today that never joined National Action Network. You hear us on the radio, you see some of our activities on the TV news, but never became a member of the organization. If you're here today and want to be part of this justice family, all you have to do is come down either aisle and write to where I am, and I will have them sign you up to the National Action Network. It couldn't be a more significant weekend as we commemorate the life of George Floyd and the struggle ahead for you to sign up to be part of this army. If you're here, just come down to me. If you're listening on the radio, you can call 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or go online to nationalactionnetwork.net and join online or join by the phone. But if you're here, come on. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Singing for justice. Singing for freedom. Everybody's singing. Radio land, we're getting ready to take our offering, and if you want to help contribute, I think people ought to help support movements that make inroads that they enjoy and that they benefit from. And you can go right online at www.nationalactionnetwork and give right online. Or you can call us at 1-877-626-4651. You see what we do. 52 weeks a year we're here, and you know what we do, from police brutality to our tech centers, to what we do in terms of voter registration, feeding. We fed over 1 million people last year during the pandemic. So you ain't got to guess. You ain't got to go searching for us. We right here. That's why people say to me, well, what Remel doing? You ain't got to guess. I'm here every Saturday. I'm on TV Saturday and Sunday night, but I'm in Harlem on the ground here. Even when they build, the developers, whatever they doing, build thing, I told them we want to keep our spot on the ground. I'm a grassroots preacher. Some of y'all want to be grassroots and be too far above the grass. We are, that's right, boots on the ground. Now, I wear better boots now than I used to, but I'm still on the ground. Ain't no holes on the bottom of my boots like they used to be, but I'm still on the ground. So I want you in Radio Land, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Let me say as we go off, don't forget that Tuesday night here, the mayoral candidates for the Democratic nomination, I'll be questioning them 6 to 8. Then at 10 p.m., we neglected to say there's a special on ABC Network on George Floyd, What Next? And they're going to talk with the family and Attorney Ben Crump and myself. This on ABC Network. Of course, this evening, 5 o'clock, and tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern Time, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I'm going to be talking to Philonise Floyd tonight and some of the senators working on the Floyd bill. Then tomorrow, I'll be live from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm flying out there to be part of the march to the site where he was choked by knee, lynched by knee. And we're going to be there with his sister Bridget, and they head into Washington to meet with the president. I head on home to take care of these mayoral things and meet with the president a week from now. let us get ready to raise our offering here. I want us to do the best of our ability. You knew before you came how much money you was going to put in the offering. So y'all don't be sitting up there like y'all got to decide, because I know when I go to church, I know what I'm going to give. Thank you. I put my money-giving pocket, and I'll be ready to do what I got to do. I need about 10 people that can give $100 or more to come quickly. Reverend Manning, our guest speaker, $100. Reverend Dr. Cockfield, $100. Rachel Nordlinger, $100. Sister Hazel Dukes, $100. The Reverend Dr. Johnny Green, $200. Reverend Councilman Bronxboro President Cabrillo, $100. My friend and brother Luis Papa, $100. Attorney Smelkin, $100. Been with us a long time. Winston Gilchrist, $100. Guardians, $100. All right, I got more than my 10. Give me 50s. The Nan Welcome Committee, $50. Come on, 50s. Brother, Sister Don Jones, our Political Action Committee, $50. Alvin, they tell me Dr. Alvin Ponder. I've been saying brother, Dr. Alvin Ponder, $50. Sister Reverend Carolyn, $50. Come on, 50. 20s. Kari Weiss leading the way with 20s. Dorsey of our LGBTQ committee. Son, all right, 20s. Now everybody, whatever you have, $1, $5, $10, Brother Dorsey, $20. All right, whatever you have. All right. Sometime with the mask, you don't know everybody. My friend and brother Daniel Patterson's in the house. Stand up, Daniel. That's the brother of Governor David Patterson, son of Basil Patterson. Let me tell you something. We would not be where we are today, even with all we still must fight, if it wasn't for Basil Patterson, Charlie Rangel, David Dinkins, and the Honorable Percy Ellis Sutton. They paid a price in this city. One of the reasons, Brother Cabrera, it's hard for me to look up to midgets is because I know what real giants look like. And y'all got a bunch of midgets standing up on chairs rather than giants standing on their feet. But I thank God I grew up at a time to see an Adam Clayton Powell and a Percy Sutton and a Herman Badillo and a Reverend William Jones. All of these people were giants. They didn't have no Google and they didn't have no Instagram and they didn't have all of that Twitter. They had to stand flat-footed and organize people with flyers and all kind of using rotary phones. But they turned this city upside down. Sandy Ray and Gardner Taylor. They didn't have no virtual ministry.